Hello, friends. This is Dave Hurwitz, executive editor at ClassicsToday.com, here with great recent recordings of the classics, just to prove that the universe of classical music is alive and well post-2000, very alive and well. In fact, extraordinarily, perhaps excessively alive and well. Anyway, today we are talking about the Bach St. Matthew Passion. Now, there is no area of the world of classical music that is more vibrant in terms of excellent performances coming out than the period instrument or authenticity, whatever you want to call it, that group, that crowd. And the reason is because, there are a couple of reasons. The reason is because, first of all, there are lots and lots of groups that are doing this. And second of all, because they tend to be smaller groups, they're less expensive. And that's a big deal. So they can do these things for less money, and they employ musicians who are fresh out of conservatory and just raring to go. And you get some really remarkable performances because now that we've hit the turn of the 21st century, we're 25 years into the quarter into the 21st century, these people have finally learned how to play their instruments. It was exciting, very exciting when Harnoncourt and Leonhardt and Franz Bruggen and all these people in the 60s and 70s were first discovering these things, and Christopher Hogwood, and they were recording, Mozart symphonies and all the Bach and Vivaldi and Handel and all that. It was the early Handel Messiahs. These were thrilling things because they sounded new and fresh. Did they actually sound enjoyable? Well, that was a sometime thing, because a lot of the performances were somewhat tentative and rather creaky. Some of them were superb. You have to take it one thing at a time, always, right? But nowadays, the standard of performance, as was always the case with these things, right, has risen to a level of excellence which fascinates me, because it is not only superb, but it approaches what normal instruments do in terms of their accuracy of intonation and rhythm and whatnot. In fact, the better they play, the less authentic they become. And that's a fact. That's really a fact, because, the whole reason for doing this in the first place was to recreate the style of early performances, and hopefully not always the circumstances, which were mostly dreadful. Back in the day, we know how horrible things were. Bach wrote his letter to the town council, and we know what he wanted, and we know what he got. And to do it the way he got it rather than the way he wanted is really not that smart, frankly, or that musical, because it's yielding to non-musical considerations, which is the budget of the Leipzig Town Council or whatever it is. We can go into this endlessly and debate it forever, but the fact of the matter is, I'm right, and everyone else is wrong who disagrees with me, and these performances today. These period instrument performances of Baroque music are likely to be superb, provided that the performers do not fall into one person to a part. This is the way they did it on July 5th, 1723. None of that garbage, provided they do what the music demands. That the decisions they make are based on musical necessity rather than recreating historical circumstances and the faux necessities of the period in question. So, we're talking about the St. Matthew Passion, Bach's largest choral work, one of the great masterpieces of Western culture, an absolute ordeal to get through. It's a good 3 hours long, whether you take Klemperer and you go 3.5 hours, or anyone else. And this one features the Netherlands Bach Society under Jos van Veldhoven, who's terrific at this stuff, really wonderful, with a splendid group of soloists, a wonderful instrumental ensemble, a superb chorus. And here it is on Channel Classics. Now, this is the original release. The original release here was absolutely beautiful. First, it comes in with this, sort of toilet seat, factory sealed for your protection sanitary band, which we could take off. There, we take that. I even preserved that all these years. And then you have two superb, you've got the CDs here, and then you've got this marvelous book, because these productions were done in association with the what's the museum here? It's here, the Museum Katharina Convent, a museum of Christian iconography and art and other things, and so you've got this gorgeous book full of essays and fine art reproductions, and really exceptional, just a beautiful thing. And so it's in addition to talking about the performances and everything else, it's really lovely. Now you can't get this anymore, I don't think, in its original form. It was a limited edition, I believe. All of the Netherlands Bach Society recordings on Channel Classics have been reissued in a very reasonably priced box, which is well worth owning. I did a video about it when it came out. We talked about them. They're wonderful performances. And so here is the actual thing that you get, the 3 discs. Very nicely packaged and pressed. But let's see who's doing what, shall we? Because the St. Matthew Passion, as you know, it's enormous. It's absolutely enormous. Like I said, it's about 3 hours long. It's very dramatic. And here we have, let's see, word of welcome, introduction. Of course, the hard thing is finding the actual track listing. I don't know if they do it front or back here. Up there it is, track listing. Here's the track list. And do they tell us who sings what? Somewhere here they do. I'm sure they do. Yeah. With all the notes and all the information and all the stuff, you can kind of get lost in it. Oh, for heaven's sake. Well, you've got the text. Okay, that's a good thing. We have text and translations, which I don't think you get actually in the big box, but it's okay. You can find that easily enough. And, well, the singers are listed somewhere here. Hang on. This is embarrassing. I should have looked for this first. That's the trouble with glorious deluxe productions. Well, okay, here are all the bios of everybody. And, yes, see, you have all the singers. There they all are. And, okay, so let's see who's doing what. We have musicians. Yay! Got it. Musicians. Okay, so this lists all the musicians. Well, it's not a teeny tiny orchestra. Thank God. You have your 2 choirs. In other words, it's not a huge performance. It's not one of these grandiose suckers. But at least you have enough people to really convey the size and grandeur of the piece. But at the same time, Jos van Veldhoven makes sure that the recitatives move, that the turbochoruses are exciting, that the chorales are not just like separate moments where you go and sing a chorale. They actually are integrated into the onward flow of the piece. So it all comes together extremely effectively. Now we have Ancilla, Alto, Bloobity, Thornhill, Pontifex. Yes, okay, so we've got like famous people here. This is going to kill me. All they had to do was list these things like really conveniently, and they didn't. So why am I killing myself with this? I'll just tell you who they are. Okay. Screw it. They're all listed. They're all listed right here in the back of the toilet seat thing. The singers are, let's see, Amaryllis, Dealtians, Siri Caroline Thornhill, Kim Mead, Matthew White, Gerd Turk, Julian Podger, wonderful evangelist in Jesus, by the way, the 2 of them, those guys, they're fabulous. Charles Daniels, Peter Harvey, Sebastian Nowak, and the Kempen Boys Choir. There's everybody. I could have just done that from the beginning, but I was trying to get the actual cast list, which is here, buried in this thing somewhere. I don't know. All I can tell you is, as I fumble around and spend most of the time in this video looking for performers' names, that's a useful thing. I have to put the safety band back on this. A stunning, gorgeous, glorious St. Matthew Passion, which was recorded, just to make it clear, in 2011. I looked that up at the beginning, so I wouldn't have to go plowing around with my magnifying glass. It's really amazing, isn't it, how even when they make glorious productions, they have a problem just presenting simple performer information straightforwardly in a clear and concise manner? Yes, isn't it? Anyway, fabulous. Channel Classics, Netherlands Bach Society, St. Matthew Passion. Happy Easter, everybody. It's coming up as of the date of this particular video. And here's a good way, if you're into that sort of thing, to while away the hours. Keep on listening, friends. Take care.